What is up, guys, gals, and you awesome minions and gamers of different shapes and sizes? It is me, Josh, aka Proxy, bringing you some Titanfall 2 today on the PlayStation 4 Pro. We'd love to know your opinion in the comment section below, what you think to the Pro version. Do you like the gameplay? Do you like the smoother frame rate? Because this is one of the things, is that on the multiplayer, it is now a consistent 60 frames per second, which is really awesome. I mean, it's not something that really bugs me or bothers me, because I'm a 30 frames per second kind of guy. Like, I can just, maybe my eyes are just weak. Maybe they're just too inferior compared to everybody else's, I'm not too sure. But don't forget to drop a like if you enjoyed this video, and why not subscribe for more Titanfall 2 content in the future. But today we're going to be focusing on a little bit more attrition. This is the thing, I really like the game modes that are actually within Titanfall 2. Kind of excited to see what else we might get. Like, what if we actually get Frontier Defense game, which is the co-op mode, which is quite awesome, where basically, wasn't it like 4 pilots and their Titans kind of have to defend like a generator against enemy AI Titans and stuff like that. That would be really cool, especially if maybe you can actually play it by yourself, because there is that kind of thing where, I mean, Titanfall 2 does actually have a campaign, and it's a really good campaign, highly recommend it, but you know where you just don't want to play a campaign? Like, for example, Call of Duty has a really good variety of content, where you have the campaign, which is around 8 to 9 hours long, you then have the multiplayer, obviously, which can never-ending content for as long as the multiplayer stays alive, and then finally you have the zombies mode, which is quite cool. The game Advanced Warfare did a little bit more, where you had the zombies mode, you had the kind of like co-op like survival mode, which was really badass, and you had the campaign and you had the multiplayer, and so it would be really cool to see maybe, I mean, I don't really know how a survival mode would work, but like, the co-op I would kind of like, I would kind of appreciate, but then also being able to do it as like one single person, be able to like handle yourself, because it's one of those games where, like, especially with Titanfall, is that, and I've mentioned this in previous videos, you always feel badass when you play Titanfall 2. Like, it could just be the most casual match. You might be dying of, oh my god, as I just say that, I just get my neck snapped. Or was that a bear hug? I'm not too sure. Maybe the guy really, really loved me. I'm not too sure. But it's this thing where, like, you've always, like, as you saw there, like, even if you die, you might think, oh, this is gonna suck. But then you actually end up doing something really badass and kicking some serious butt cheeks. And you saw that? I just murdered the guy and shot him in the back. And, you know, now I feel kind of back into it. But you don't even have to fight the, like, pilots. You can fight the AI. Like, look at this guy. Like, just walking around, you know, just casually. Torture 1988, whatever. I tortured the torture. You see what? That was rubbish. But again, you just completely feel badass. I've mentioned this in other videos before, and especially when it comes to the guns too. Like, you might not actually think that you're very good with a lot of these guns, but they're all really like useful and like, what would you say, kind of like easy access, welcoming, user-friendly. Like, at the moment I'm using the SMG called the Vault, which is a very high-powered submachine gun. Unusually, it actually has a silencer for a barrel, but it's not actually a silencer. Don't you think that's kind of weird? Also, that guy there hiding in the bushes, you don't see that much when it comes to Titanfall 2, where people use the environment to hide, especially when it comes to their color schemes and things as well. It would be good if you could do that, but then again, it might get a little bit frustrating, I'm not too sure. But then again, it's this thing where you don't really want camping to happen in Titanfall 2. I've actually experienced it, but it's not the funnest thing in the world. I actually just tried to hack that Sentinel there, but did just not have the time for it. It seems one of my teammates actually took it down. I actually been able to spawn my Titan first here. This is something that I'm actually finding quite to be a regularity, is that I'm actually getting my Titan first, and I don't know if it's actually a good idea to do it. Like, obviously, I'm the only one to have achieved it then and there. Obviously, someone else has now got one. But it's like, is it good to get your Titan first? I mean, obviously I'm killing a bunch of players now, but I feel like maybe you should wait until like an enemy Titan. Look, what was that guy doing? He's just like, yeah, I'm gonna just like not move. It's a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Just don't move and it won't mess with. No, that's not how this works, buddy. I am a Titan, not a T-Rex. I know there's the T in it, but that doesn't mean that we're all blind to movement and stuff. Still images. And so when it comes to like getting your Titan first, I don't know if maybe it's best to wait, because obviously what you could do is you could either get your Titan, potentially get a bunch of kills unless a lot of people of those pilots kind of end up teaming up against you, or you could like whittle down an enemy's Titan and then get your own and then finish them off. So you've got multiple ways in which you could work around this. Now you may notice as well that in this match I'm being a little bit more restrictive when it comes to using my Ronin. Obviously I'm very kind of like forward when it comes to taking down enemy pilots, but with the Titans I've been actually trying to use a little bit more stealth, and actually you can't really stealth when you're playing a Titan, but kind of like working my way around people and things. It's quite useful, quite badass. It obviously helps when playing as Ronin as well, because Ronin has barely any health. Like, just as you saw there, that was some rockets. That was one payload of one, what would you class it as? like tones, like what do they call them, like missile silo pod thing. And so just from that getting shot in the back, that took nearly half of my health away, which sucked. You do not want that. And so it's one of those things where when you are playing as Ronin, you want to kind of play like a Ronin, like a ninja, say, and sneak around the enemy. Never confront them, especially with your evasive abilities. Like, as you know, you do actually have the phase lock where you can actually teleport for like a slight second forwards. It's kind of like an invulnerability dash. And even though that might feel helpful when it comes to actually getting towards the enemy, it doesn't take you very far. It actually doesn't take you very far at all. You can get an ability in your Titan customizations which allows you to actually get that a lot faster, so it recharges a lot more fuel to use. But when it comes to actually advancing on an enemy Titan, do not use it. Try and work your way around them, try and get behind them. Like as you saw there, look, it does like a very small dash. Actually able to pwn this enemy Scorch. He's actually using his Flame Shield. Remember, the Flame Shield does actually do damage and blocks all incoming attacks. And oh my goodness, just got him before he dropped that electrical smoke. Now, I actually dropped my own electrical smoke there, which was very, very useful. Remember that when you do drop electrical smoke, that it doesn't actually hurt you, okay? So one really good example is that in the original Titanfall, one thing that you could actually do was fire your own cluster bombs. So as we know, when you use North Star, you have cluster bombs, and those cluster bombs can actually be used to kind of like take enemy parts off your backs, or you can actually just use it as like a close combat kind of attack. Now in the original Titanfall, you actually took less damage from those cluster bombs, but now as North Star, I think it may be because it's got like really poor defense and it just can't look after itself, but it actually takes a lot more damage from those cluster bombs, so you've got to be really careful about that. But compared to the electric smoke, you can actually use that to look after yourself and use it as a close combat weapon when you're playing Ronin. In a sense, you can actually like trap them within the smoke and then wail on them with your shotgun or with your sword. Really useful and quite underutilized, so I highly recommend doing that. Would love to know your opinion in the comment section below though. Do you think that using electrical smoke as a weapon instead of just a defensive capability of stopping enemy pilots being on you is actually viable? I mean, personally, I think it's very, very useful. And one thing you can do too, remember, is that through your customizations of the Titans, you actually have the ability, obviously, to, say, with Ronin, have double dash. So you can actually take 2 extra dashes with you. Well, it's actually 1, but I class it as 2 extra dashes because, obviously, you got the phase lock. And so what you can actually do is you can actually give up that dash and have 2 electrical smokes. That is 2 electrical smokes, which means that you actually have a massive area of effect when it comes to dropping those smokes and taking down multiple Titans. So if you can actually sneak in behind a group of Titans, drop that electrical smoke, that means you'll be able to do all of that damage, build up your core ability, activate your sword core, and then do some serious melee wailage. And that is, you know, that is what Ronin is all about. It's all about using that sword core once you get the chance. The shotgun is alright, but it's very slow firing, it's got very poor range, and the reload takes forever. So generally I would recommend using that sword when you get the possibility of doing it, but don't use the sword when it comes to, what would you class it as, like risking your own kind of like Titan's health, because remember, the Titans are actually a tide turner. They're a Titan tide turner in a sense, which means that obviously the Titans actually allow you to get kills really, really fast. You don't have to like chase around pilots around the environment. So if you can actually just be the Titan and melee an enemy, one-shot an enemy when you're actually facing against a pilot, and so they're very, very useful in the field, obviously, because well, they can take down groups of AI as well, which helps with the scoring. And so there's a lot to actually think about when it comes to using Ronin, a lot of tactics as well, especially when it comes to the utility in which it has on it, and all the other Titans as well. So like, say if you're using Scorch, using electric smoke is also very useful. I wouldn't really say it's very useful for, say, like Tone, or maybe North Star is quite useful for it, or maybe Ion. Like, I would generally recommend getting dashes for those, but like with Ronin, the double electric smoke is very highly useful for weaponizing. I mean, the one thing you have to remember is that once you've actually used that electric smoke, you don't get it ever again. You have to wait until your Titan dies and you get another Titan for actually to be used. But again, it's a very useful ability for getting potential multi-kills when it comes to taking down Titans, or just, as you can see, look, the enemy team actually has nearly all of their Titans on the field. We're actually partially winning at the moment. They could actually catch up, but trying to do my best here to hold the enemy line, because they're all around the map. They're just going to be taking everybody down. We do not want to catch up. They are so close to catching up. Can we actually gain victory here? I am not too sure, but I would love to see you place your bets. Not in the comment section below, just keep it personal, but look at that finisher. It's going all over the place. The enemy pilot was able to escape, which I think is kind of cool. As he jumps on me, deploying that electric smoke, though, to try and potentially take him off. Remember, one thing that is really good about electric smoke is that if you stand on the edge of the electric smoke, it means that the pilot will jump into it. So say if they try to escape from it, they'll end up falling back into it, which is very, very useful. Now, we do actually have an enemy Scorcher. I have my sword core ready. Jumping through the gas canister, which was very brave of me. This is going to be very, very hard because obviously I'm in very close quarters. But as you can see, look, using that sword core to just completely smack them down. They did actually use their own electric smoke there to try and take me down. But I was able to actually use the invulnerability of the Fatality Finisher to save my own bacon. And obviously as well, an enemy pilot actually dropped a battery. So that means we're going to get some health back and a shield for my Ronin. Very useful stuff. Very, very awesome. We're actually gaining the lead even further here. 458 points using that shotgun as well to take down pilots. One thing to remember is to take your time when you're using the shotgun or other Titan weapons, because it's one of those things where don't try and rush the shots, because obviously pilots can actually do a serious amount of damage to you, and it's one of those things where you want to try and like focus fire on them, but in a sense where every shot counts, because if you miss, they're going to get an extra shot on you. So as you can see here, look, got a pilot here just chilling, like, okay, I'm going to reload my rocket launcher. He actually exchanges a blow here, and obviously I could have used my shotgun there, but it was actually reloading, so I had to end up using my uppercut. What's it called again? Like, it's like shockwave or something like that, you know, the thing where you kind of like fire arc. I think it's called arcwave. It might be called arcwave, where you fire like a wave of lightning. It's really cool, but able to use that to take down a pilot in close quarters as well, so very, very useful. But sadly, I have barely any health, so I have to be very careful here about using my Ronin. Now, thankfully, we've actually been able to turn the tide of battle, as I like to say about the Titans, and we now have nearly all of my fellow teammates with their own Titans. There's only one missing, but it seems that we might actually have full control of the field here, which is fantastic. We are nearly winning at 500 points, and obviously as well, the enemy team's dropship has come down here, and so what we can do now is actually bunker down at the dropship and stop enemy pilots from coming in, but it seems that they might have actually nearly all dead. Oh, there's one of them, look! Denied! It's like swatting a fly in the air with a triple-barrel shotgun. This is unusual. But comment section below, let me know what did you think of this. Would love to know. Got 20 kills, and that was fantastic. Make sure to like if you enjoyed this video, and why not subscribe for more Titanfall 2 content in the future. It's been me, Josh, aka Noir Proxy, bringing you some Titanfall 2 today on the PlayStation Pro, and I will see you all next time. Remember to let me know what your favorite Titan is as well, because I would love to know all of your opinion, but ciao for now, everybody.